Must be Tecumseh over here.
Just get an idea of where we are. And
Neff Park.
well, but I mean from a standpoint of where we are in the park. Yeah.
The remember Morton Neff?
Oh yeah.
I think his father was named. The park's named after his dad.
Well, I thought it was his uncle, but
Was it really?
yeah, but it's the same family, definitely.
The rest of it is the types of food that the natives
Start out yellow and then turn color, or is it black? Always wondered.
No, they had yellow corn. They had yellow corn and white corn.
Right, it's a different with the black corn. Green are much nicer in gravy. One of these would be made for every 20 trade guns. It's a chief's gun, chief's grade. It's given as a present, you know, hi, I'd like to do business in your land. Okay, you got the nice one, right? Down below, we're getting into a period about 1780s, 1790s. This is a classic period of American firearms. These are Pennsylvania long rifles. The top one is a Bucks County. It's already beginning to get a beautiful curvature to the lower part of the stock. Every gun maker wanted to make his gun special so that you had to have his gun and none other. The lowest one is one of my favorites. About 1760s. So here's the fruit.
The bottom gun is beautiful.
Wolfgang Haga made this gun.
Stock opens up.
Everybody must know the name Wolfgang Haga. Okay? You don't know his name, but you know his grandnephew's name. They're the Hawkins Brothers who made the Hawkins rifle in St. Louis. Third generation gun makers.
If Tom was there, he'd make an offer, I'm sure.
That's right. He would know it all. That's for sure. Huh? I mean, know all about it.
You know why they call you a towhead? You don't have toes here. Good thing over here, you brush stuff your toe and you wouldn't want to call your hair and mouth, you'd be upset. The reason they call you a towhead is because of that kind of ropey stuff, spiny stuff right there called toe. Because your hair is the same color as toe. I remember. Should we do this?
Yeah, you know, yeah, you need to drop them or you want to keep them. Okay, however you want to do that.
I don't know what. I don't want to interrupt their programs talking to other people though either.
Well, yes, actually, if you want to.
Oh, we could. You want to ask him some questions? Ask him.
Oh, we're filming the Historical Society. Do you mind? The
No, absolutely. Go for it.
yeah, well, we're just.
We didn't want to interrupt his program, but he wanted to ask you a couple questions if we could.
Well, you're asking the wrong one. I'm nowhere near as good as he is.
What period are you reenacting?
18th century, 1750s, 1770s.
So good. Okay.
French already established.
Actually, no, we portray more of the German traveling. Because everybody pretty much dressed and used the same things because traveling was a situation that took with you what you could carry and you needed.
So we've already been, Europeans have been settled in for a good 100 years before the Europeans. 1750s.
You had some of the people from England and Europe coming, but sparsely. This was mainly a French area.
Where are you from, sir? I mean, you personally.
Personally, I live in St. Clair Shores.
Oh, okay, okay. How long have you been doing reenactment?
Only a couple of years.
Okay, well, good.
I'm a beginner at this. That gentleman has been doing it for about 8 years. He is the one you need to. He does much better.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt him though right now, but thank you very much. Thank you.
Come on, sit down, guys.
I understand it. They try to get out.
There again, it depends on what
I had
effect
some
you
great
want. There are
cornbread here. We're filming.
That were two different colors twisted together.
No, I'm used
Most
to
of
it.
it is both
And
plies
that is
are the same
carding.
yarn after
What has been done is that the
spun after
wool
it
has
was
been
dyed.
sheared from the sheep, and from there it has been washed.
This has
now
been
that
machine
managed to get
carded.
out
My
the
daughter
lanolin,
is
the
using
natural
hand
grease
cards to
that
card.
the sheep
This
makes
was
on its
machine
own.
carded,
And the
it
washing
comes out
also managed to get out
this
most
form.
of the dirt and other plant
by using those,
stuff that the sheep
It
might have
does
rolled
exactly
in,
the same
but
thing.
there's
It's
still a
just
little
that
bit of
she
dirt
can do
left,
much
and
less
I'm
at a
getting
time.
that out
Right.
right
The
now.
machines
But at the same time, I'm
how's
doing
it get
something
like a-
else.
like
What I'm doing is,
Through the
when I'm
machine.
doing this, is it's
And it comes out in
drawing,
a
pulling
great
the
big,
yarns,
long, ropey
the wool in one direction, so that it's all going in one direction.
Exactly.
If I didn't do this, when it was spun, it'd be a very bumpy and uneven yarn, and when it was woven, we'd have weak spots. You were lucky to get one new outfit every single year, and you want to have what you own to last
Make
long.
sure it's strong. Very good. And what period are you reenacting?
About the colonial era.
Okay.
Give or take a few years.
The mid 1700s.
Yes, okay,
But we
good.
represent French civilians,
Oh,
not
very
the
good.
British.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you.
That means that it was dyed before it was
Oh,
switched.
dyed in the wool. Okay, so it was dyed before it was.
When they're talking about somebody
Oh, she just pulls it out with her
whatever,
hands.
probably
See,
right from the
and
beginning.
Exactly.
Right from the beginning, they were like that. Dyed in the wool.
There are a lot of different phrases that come from textile arts, like the black sheep of the family.
The black sheep of the family. That's a good one.
Audiences were actually so unruly in early America that stages would have a row of spikes across the front to keep the audience attracted to the stage.
It's okay to throw tomatoes, but don't climb on the stage. John Durang, the dancer, once mistook his perspective and fell off the stage on the spike side and injured his leg. And he was such an industrious personality that while he was laid up with the injury to his leg, he started producing Shakespeare plays in German for the Pennsylvania Dutch. My German was not so rusty I could try reciting Hamlet to be or not to be auf Deutsch.
We've adjusted it too. It was a little rocky in the beginning, which it was unexpected for me. I did not react that way. Oh, really upset. Just anxious.
Oh yeah, that's suitable for Detroit. There were two great hulls during the War of 1812.
No, there was a great
There was a great hull and a lesser hull.
A lesser hull. William Hull, of course, surrendered Detroit without a shot being fired, a rather disgraceful episode. But this is a hornpipe called Hull's Victory, which is Isaac Hull, who fought the battle off the coast of Nova Scotia
A little ship called the
Constitution against the French ship the Guerriere.
British.
The British ship the Guerriere.
She's still an assumption. No? Galaxy in the fours. See, I thought the grading was Galaxy in the
playing it like a German. My wife would know this. They play it backwards. Like this. Like that. German.
Very good.
So Saturday I was dreaming, and I was like ready to go.
Ate a basket and he sold it as soon as he was finished with it. cut the edge off right here. He's cutting the edge off right there. And he has to thread the needle, and he coats it with beeswax so that it doesn't get tangled. And it goes through the grass a lot easier.
Grass.
This is it right here. And we call it Mother Earth's hair because it grows in the wild. And this is exactly what, when you pick the grass, and then you can make pins, you can make baskets, you can make barrettes, you can make different styles of barrettes. And then you have these are little moccasins, and people put them in their car and hang them on their car mirror because they have
The wide view of the whole
You
crowd.
weren't filming when I...
No, no.
Good.
No, I didn't get your Scottish comments.
Okay. You gonna shoot?
That's what I'm thinking too. Tell you what, I'll do is come over here.
The lines were like literally shooting like this, so there's hardly any room for your elbow. And in order to efficiently deliver as much lead down as possible can. So sometimes you had to watch your ride. The flash cover on this one, which is flash cover. We're going to go ahead and fire on the military command, even though the civilians here are priming with their own horns. The command to make ready and fire, and then hopefully we'll all fire. Each one of us, or make ready! Aim! Fire! You're dead. Amateur.
You hit a seagull.
Was deliver 4 to 6 rounds.
To get Randy was a picture from
Because that's about as long as
he's with the
going to be
Yankees now.
marching before you have
6'10".
Oh yeah, yeah.
Remember
yeah,
that famous
yep, yep.
pitch that a bird was in flight?
That's right. They knocked the bird out of the sky.
Bird is decomposed or something. Feathers flying around. Yeah.
I'm going to give my compatriot an opportunity to clear his musket. You guys back up just a little bit. I'm going to light this. This is the lid stock. Please do not look at the crazy picture. Give me a hard time. Ready? Moisture today in the air would be absorbed by the black powder, so you could get the tank fire effect, and it'd be very, very disastrous. Okay. That's Act 1. This is Act 2. What we have here are 2 small cannons. You're going to need to step back just a little bit because you're in the cone of blast in this. Get the other side
I
of
need
flower
a straight
tube.
line right to here.
Just the cameraman.
Yeah, keep going back. Keep
Straight
going back.
line. Everybody behind me.
This is either in
Please.
the bow of a canoe,
He's aiming it right at us right
or
now.
on
Look
a
at.
ship, or on the wall of a fort.
Yep.
If you had a sailing ship on the Great Lakes, and an Indian canoe or a small European boat pulled up next to the ship, they would be below the levels of the cannon. You couldn't do anything to them. They could board your ship and do a lot of damage. You put this on the rail and tipped it down. You guys are double parked. Move on. The Indians would see one of these 25-foot canoes coming down the river loaded with about 12 Frenchmen and 3 tons of cargo. 2.5, I lied. they measure differently. But the Indians would go, oh, wow, Kmart. And they try to steal it. Who wants to trade when you can steal and have more fun, see? But if you fought them off, well, then they respected you, and then maybe you could trade. So one of these in the bow of the canoe would be essential, okay? A handful of gravel could do in a birch bark canoe very easily. And if the canoe was a solid log hollowed out by fire, which many of the Indians used, then you would use a 1-inch ball in this. They could do the same thing. Okay, that's 2 uses. A third use, wall of a fort or the wall of a station. Does anybody know what a station is? You got 10 families living in Grosse Pointe. No fort. Where do you go when there's trouble? The Indians. Well, the 10 families get together and they pick one of the houses and they put a palisade between the outbuildings, the barn, the shed, the privy, the house, you know, the garden. You encircle an area big enough for you and your neighbors and their animals. Sometimes in danger, they and their animals would come to you and you would all sweat it out together. Putting one of these 10 feet up off the ground at the gate and around the wall, you could fire beyond the distance, beyond the range of a musket. Muskets may be 70 yards accurately at the outside. This thing could fire 100, 120, maybe 150 yards if you cut the trees down. Okay? Keep the Indians away by day. What would happen at night?
Need you to back up,
You
folks.
and you and
Straight
you
line with that tree.
be on the roof at night
Forward in that tree.
with a bucket
Thank
and
you.
a little dipper because you're light. You wouldn't fall through the shingles. The Indians would get close and try to shoot fire arrows onto your roof and burn
Where are
your
they
house
worried
down
about?
around your ears.
Oh, the
You'd
side
be
fire, yeah,
outside
fire,
fire.
yeah. He was saying you got to be behind
You
the
could
guns.
scramble along the cedar shake shingles.
We're gonna get smoke, I'm sure.
The adults were needed to see over the wall and shoot. Okay? This was substantial help. Now, the swivel gun, we don't know too much about it. I mean, they were made in the United States. They were made in Europe. They were made for ships. We don't have much of a history on them, okay? Lewis and Clark carried one on the roof of their flatboat because from the height of the flatboat, they could cast the ball much farther and scare the Indians away from a longer distance. We're going to demonstrate loading and firing. We're going to fire 2 rounds. And the reason I have you all back behind here is there are 2 cones of power, of gas, if you will, that come out the barrel of the cannon. There's a small cone that if you were standing in front of and it hit you in your chest, it might stop your heart because it's the powerful blast of the cannon. There is a auditory cone about 45 degrees on either side of the muzzle. If you were in front of this cannon when it was fired, it'd be like somebody cupped their hands and whacked you over the ears. It would actually be a physical impact on your ear from the impact of the change of air pressure. You're behind it. It's going to be loud, but it's not going to be that loud. For you little guys, I'd say cover your ears. We're going to fire twice. The first time, cover your ears, and the second time you don't want to, well, you judge. Okay? We're going to go through the process twice of loading and firing. The first step would be to clear the previous cartridge.
Well, they tip it down, I think, or
Oh,
does
they
it go
tip it
down?
down.
What
is it?
Worm.
Cartridges made out of cloth, serge in England. And they would leave behind fragments that were smoldering. You got to get those fragments out because you're going to put another serge cartridge full of powder in on top. You don't want to burn through the sidewall of the cartridge and set it off early. So the first thing is search. Then wet sponge. He's got his thumb over the touch hole. Might get this thing up in there. When I pull this out, you're going to hear a pop. That's the vacuum created by the sponge, the wet sponge, and his thumb over the touch hole. Okay. And then a dry sponge. And we're ready for the cartridge. Normally a crew would be about 4 men. We're doing this with 2.
Long time before semi-automatics.
Circumstances. If we don't have an ammunition chest out there, in a different direction.
The Indians are getting closer.
Make sure boats aren't coming into the park, that's right.
Circumstances. Yes, we will try to keep things as safe as possible.
That's a
Okay.
ram.
The gunner's going to get the linstock. I'm going to prick the side of the cartridge. Now, in the 18th century, I might use a quill, a feather, full of powder and sharpened. He is heating up the tip of the glowing rod, or the glowing linstock, I should say. Wind is doing well by itself. Let's hope I can keep a prime on this thing. Priming. Thank you. Okay. In battle, you couldn't hear. So I'd stand with my hand up. This cannon is ready. Okay? And then the battery officer would indicate who he wanted to fire and when. And when he was ready to fire, we'd say, "Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole!" There's one. Now we're going to go through it again. This time a little quicker. Okay, search.
I mean, it's beans, but... No, you just put it, make sure the wind's in the direction.
To the end of the cartridge.
I saw it.
And now
Here's the big one. Are you still filming?
Yeah. They just get the
They're going through all this. The economy's going like this.
Yeah, that's right. The Indians shot 10 arrows by this time, right? Yeah.
She's like, you dang squirrels, airsoft cannon.
If you use one of those things, I don't know, in poles with like a birdie, die birdie, or like blown into it. No, it's like a contour fly spine. Oops. This never happened.
okay, Rick. And prime. Kind of a stiff wind. You can imagine the fun you would have on a battlefield in only slightly worse conditions. Okay, we're ready to fire. Okay, everybody ready? Fire in the hole!
Please, back behind the tree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fire in the hole! He's outside. Ah, the English. They're big crude people. They have long guns that go bang! Ah, but the French are the sophisticated. Their cannons go la
Give him a call because he's got a new email.
Oh, okay.
You don't know whether to invest in a technology or not. Give them a couple of years and they'll tell you. That's right. We're going to change technology again, right?
We're not going to be there.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun thinking I might do some historical things here. I get stuff to...
And that's a genealogy of the Caulaincourt town in France. The people there migrated to Canada, and then they migrated to the Grosse Pointe area, and that reserve, I mean, it kind of goes, the genealogy of the whole family back to, I don't know, 16 or 1700. There's, I think, 2 or 3 versions of that book available.
Well, I was reading, it looked like by 1800, still 2/3 of the population was French here, in spite of...
coming. Sit here, Rebecca.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.